Hi, I'm Tenley Bick, Associate Professor of Art History in the Department of Art History. My main area of research is global modern and contemporary art. I'm particularly interested in post-war through contemporary Europe, particularly Italy, in relationship to contemporary African art, both continental and diasporic. I've been really lucky to be a director of undergraduate studies in the department for the past 4 years. This is my 4th year in the position, and it's been great to have a bit of a role in shaping our undergraduate curriculum and thinking about what's best for our students in the BA program. In the faculty, I'm part of a group of professors who work on modern and contemporary art, but I also intersect with my colleagues in other fields who are interested in histories around race and identity, as well as politics and art. I really love teaching in a big public university. I have studied in both private and public institutions, and I think there's so much to be gained in public institutions, both as a teacher and as a student. For me, it was really exciting to be at a major state university and to get to work, in the case of the art history department, with the oldest PhD program in the southeast of the US. So it was an exciting opportunity to belong to a kind of storied department relative to art history. In terms of what else drew me to FSU, besides being a major public institution, it's also a prominent research institution. So I wanted the opportunity to make research a big part of my work alongside my teaching and service. It's exciting for me to work with the students who have a bit of skepticism, right, and maybe alienation even when faced with sort of the very different animal that the contemporary art can seem to be. So that's one way. I often build relationships with students through the courses that I offer, but then also by fostering research opportunities in a smaller seminar environment with them, or through honors in the major. I've advised a few honors in the major theses, and that's always been a great experience. With regard to my colleagues, we have a nice small department, so we all sort of work together, which is really great. And sometimes it's on workshops or on department-wide events, events for the students. And I've also been able to interface with more of the students in my role as Director of Undergraduate Studies. So in our annual BA fair and convocation and various meet and greet and workshops we'll have for them, I've gotten to know a lot of the student body. Symposia were something I started actually as in my role as director, and I think it's something we wanted to do to support opportunities for undergraduates to share their research. So it wasn't just advanced graduate students, doctoral students, or faculty making research presentations, but our undergraduate students are outstanding. And I think when you give an opportunity for sharing your work, both in the department and in the university community, it's a great chance to see what undergraduates at FSU are capable of. I was excited to see that there is now a new initiative being done by the Office of Research in relationship with faculty development and advancement to welcome faculty to the faculty lounge for writing hours and kind of social hours as well. I think that's a great way to meet our colleagues across the university. Sometimes we get a bit siloed in our colleges or even in our departments. I always have appreciated getting to know my colleagues through the faculty union. It's another way that we've been able to kind of meet people from across the university. I would love the university to continue to facilitate opportunities for people in the humanities and people in the arts to intersect with people in widely divergent areas of study. I think it's a great way to get to know the broader university community. Protect your research time. Don't take on too much service early on. You'll have plenty of opportunity for that after your, especially if you're tenure track, after you're tenured. But also look into all of the amazing resources and opportunities available to faculty at FSU, work with the Office of Fellowships to identify opportunities that might be unique to your area of study or what you're working on. Work with the Council of Creativity and Research. But there are wonderful internal funding opportunities, and I have been so lucky to have been supported so robustly by the university in my work. So those would be my primary points of advice. Find out as much as you can about internal funding early on and take advantage of it. My most recent and only single-author book publication is dedicated to the work of Michelangelo Pistoletto, a post-war and contemporary Italian artist. And it's entitled Michelangelo Pistoletto, Figuration and Cultural Politics, and looks to contextualize the artist's work from its emergence in the 1950s in northwestern Italy through today, with an emphasis on the formative decades of his career. It was a long process, and I think publishing a single-author book, especially in a field like art history, when you have a number of images and artist permissions and reproduction rights to navigate, the kind of design and publication process after the manuscript is done can be really complicated and something that you sort of learn a bit through an experience. So I was really lucky to be at a press, Yale University Press, that wanted to offer the book as many images as I thought it needed. So it does have 140 images, many of which have never been published before or even known to art historians and the public who are interested in this artist's work. So for me, it was really important to be able to get a contract that would support the kind of serious scholarship that the work is, but also that would see this as an opportunity to bring more of this artist's work to light. In terms of the writing and the research stages, it originated in my dissertation, but it became a much different project in the years since. In particular, I benefited from having an external fellowship in my second year here at FSU. So I was a scholar in residence at a place called Magazzino Italian Art. It's a research institute and museum in New York, outside of Manhattan, that has one of the largest collections of contemporary Italian art, particularly from the movement to which Pistoletto belonged. So I was there working on the book for a year, which was an immense research opportunity. It also allowed me to do some primary research in the New York area, both with private collections and museum collections that hold his work there. After that, it was a matter of sort of chipping away, right, at the manuscript and synthesizing research that needed to make its way into body chapters. Down the line from that, then you make a book proposal. You sort of write a prospectus about your book and circulate it with a few chapters, a sample chapter or two, to your ideal presses. And I was really thrilled to find interest at Yale University Press in this book in particular. It's its distribution, the incredible team there, the editorial team there, my editor, Amy Canonico, all of them made the book even better than I could have hoped, and it exceeded my expectations in the end, and I'm really proud of it. For me, it was a matter of really being protective about my writing time and being mindful of the best environment for me to write in, and also being sure that I had time aside from that. So working on teaching, developing classes, some of that was really thrilling because it was a bit of not a mental break, but was an opportunity to think about how my research intersected with the areas of my instruction. And sometimes those things really ameliorated and supported one another. So I've been able, right now I'm teaching the post-war Italian art seminar, but I taught that my first semester at FSU 8 years ago. It's a very different class now than when I first taught it, but it's nice to have been able to offer kind of advanced courses in my immediate area of specialization to students, and to have helped the research grow through that process too. Well, it's a real privilege, first, to have been able to do this project and to have as a contemporary art historian, I'm sort of unique among many of my peers in different subfields insofar as I work with living artists. And that to me can be such an incredible opportunity, especially when it's a book focused on a single artist. You can really try to inhabit somebody's practice and through them get to know better their conceptualization of their work. But it's also a chance to generate new primary research materials for other scholars. So by sharing your oral history work, by enriching the text with quotations from the artist, that kind of work was also very important to me. I wanted to make sure that the book made very clear his own conceptualization of his practice, even as at times I'm mapping a kind of different critical history than just parroting the artist alone. So in terms of the images, this was the first English language single author scholarly study on the artist's work ever. And it was the first monograph in any language since the 1980s. So this is somebody who has published, or who's been, a prolific artist for nearly 7 decades now, and is still working. He actually had just been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. He wasn't ultimately awarded it, but in recognition of kind of his use of art and social activism through his institution in northern Italy. I wanted to include those early images, those works that had not been seen. I looked for 10 years to try to find examples of his early design work. He's an artist who started in televisual and print advertising. As many kind of vanguard artists of the post-war period in Italy did, he didn't start out in fine arts training, even though his father was an artist. And I kept looking and asking, and his archivist kept saying, no, we don't have any other examples. And my very last research trip, as I was finalizing the manuscript, I asked one more time. And Marco Ferrano, the archivist, said, we did find something, and brought out this big cardboard box that was just full of all the design work from his early career, all these amazing drawings and sketches. And it was like every holiday a scholar could ever hope for at once. So many of those images I was able to get into the book. And I also had some great primary research materials from institutions that had shown his work early in his career in the US. So the Walker Art Center in Minneapolis was great to work with as well. For me, I'm really proud of the scope of this book and that it will provide, I think, a very thorough and hopefully engaging history of this artist practice to my peers and to students and anybody who's sort of interested in his work. His work is really engaging, and I just hope I've been able to kind of do it justice in the study. I am getting to teach from the book for the first time, and I have to say, having taught this seminar when I first got here and now teaching it upon release of my book, it's really wonderful to get to share some of the research process and writing process and honestly my deep knowledge of this subject with my students, to share with them some of the research ephemera and kind of gems that we accumulate as researchers and historians, the anecdotes of stories from the artists, things that didn't make it into the book that I can still teach about and share. That to me is just a complete joy, and I hope that it feels inspiring and exciting for students to get insights into a book publication process, but also from what it's like, right, professionally as an art historian, to do art historical work. I would say it would be the poster on my wall, which is actually, it was a takeaway art object by the Chilean-born American artist Alfredo Yar. It's got a quote by the Italian thinker and political theorist Antonio Gramsci, and it says in Italian, the old world is dying, the new one is slow or late to appear. It's in this chiaroscuro, this meeting of light and dark, where monsters are born. And I just it really resonated with me, and it's something that I sort of, he installed them all over Rome, in addition to this takeaway at the museum. But it sort of makes me think a lot about like why I'm an art historian, and what it means to do historical work, and I just really love it. So thanks so much for speaking with me. I enjoyed it.